Wall Street has made millionaires overnight, and it has also destroyed lives just as fast. Jesse Livermore, known as the Boy Plunger and the Great Bear of Wall Street, was one of the most legendary traders in history. He made and lost fortunes several times over. But here's the catch. He left behind not just a story of wins and losses, but a blueprint for traders. His words, written nearly a century ago, still ring true in today's markets of algorithms, crypto, and meme stocks. Today, we'll break down 20 lessons from Jesse Livermore that can still guide traders who dare to play the most dangerous game in finance, speculation.
Lesson 1. There is nothing new in Wall Street. There can't be because speculation is as old as the hills. When Jesse Livermore said this, he was pointing to a truth that never changes. Markets are simply a reflection of human behavior. Fear and greed drive price swings now, just as they did 100 years ago. Take the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s. Investors poured billions into internet companies that had no profits, some not even a working product, believing they were buying into the future. Prices soared to unimaginable heights before crashing in 2000, wiping out trillions in market value. If you roll the clock back even further, you'll see the exact same story during the 1800s railroad boom. Railroads were the new technology of their time, just like the internet was a century later. People believed every railroad stock would make them rich. Fortunes were made quickly, but just as quickly, bubbles burst and dreams collapsed. Livermore's point was clear. While the assets may change, from railroads to dot-coms, from crypto to AI, the psychology never does. Speculation is as old as the hills, and every generation of traders learns, often painfully, that history doesn't repeat, but it surely rhymes.
Lesson 2. The game of speculation is the most uniformly fascinating game in the world. But it is not a game for the stupid, the mentally lazy, the man of inferior emotional balance, or the get-rich-quick adventurer. They will die poor. When Livermore spoke these words, he wasn't exaggerating. Speculation is endlessly fascinating because it demands everything: discipline, intelligence, and emotional control. But it's ruthless to those who treat it like a lottery ticket. In 1998, the world saw one of the most spectacular lessons of this truth. Long-term capital management, a hedge fund run by some of the brightest financial minds, two of them Nobel Prize winners, believed they had solved the problem of risk. They built models that predicted market behavior with mathematical precision. For a while, it worked, and they produced enormous returns.
But speculation is not a tidy equation. When Russia defaulted on its debt in 1998, markets moved in ways their models had never imagined. Instead of cutting risk, the fund doubled down, driven by overconfidence. Within months, long-term capital management collapsed, nearly taking the global financial system with it, and had to be bailed out by a consortium of Wall Street banks. The lesson Livermore nodded to is simple. Brilliance without discipline is useless in speculation. It's not enough to be smart. You need humility, patience, and emotional balance. Without those, the market will chew you up and spit you out.
Lesson 3. The stock market is never obvious. It is designed to fool most of the people most of the time. Livermore understood that when a trade feels too easy, it's usually a trap. Markets move in ways that lure the crowd in at exactly the wrong time. Think back to early 2021. GameStop became the center of a historic short squeeze driven by retail traders on online forums. The stock exploded from under $20 to nearly $500 in a matter of weeks. Headlines screamed, social media feeds were flooded with stories of overnight millionaires, and many believed it could only go higher. But what looked obvious wasn't real strength. It was a bubble fueled by emotion and momentum. Those who bought late, convinced by the hype, found themselves holding shares as the stock collapsed back down. Billions in paper profits vanished, and countless small traders were left with crushing losses. Livermore's warning is timeless. If a trade feels like a sure thing, it's probably designed to fool you. The market thrives on misdirection, and the obvious path is rarely the profitable one.
Lesson 4. The desire for constant action, irrespective of underlying conditions, is responsible for many losses in Wall Street. Livermore knew one of the biggest dangers for traders wasn't the market, it was boredom. The urge to always be in a trade, to always be doing something, leads to reckless decisions. Overtrading doesn't just drain capital, it destroys discipline. We saw this clearly in 2020 during the COVID-19 lockdowns. Millions of new retail traders opened accounts, fueled by zero-commission trading apps and endless free time at home. Many jumped in and out of stocks dozens of times a day, chasing tiny moves in quick thrills. Most ended up burning through their accounts, not because the market was impossible to navigate, but because they couldn't resist the need for constant action.
Meanwhile, patient investors who held strong conviction plays during that same period saw extraordinary gains. One striking example was Cathie Wood and her ARK Innovation ETF, which surged in 2020 by sticking to high-conviction bets on disruptive technology. The contrast was clear. Discipline and patience rewarded a few, while overtrading punished the many. Livermore's point stands. Trading isn't about constant motion. It's about waiting for the right moment, then acting with precision. In speculation, less can often mean more.
Lesson 5. A loss never bothers me after I take it, but being wrong and not taking the loss, that is what does damage. For Livermore, the act of cutting losses wasn't just a trading tactic, it was survival. The danger wasn't losing money, it was refusing to accept that you were wrong. We saw this play out in 2021 with Archegos Capital, a family office run by Bill Huang. Archegos had built massive, highly leveraged positions in a handful of stocks, including Viacom CBS. When Viacom's share price started to fall, the rational move would have been to cut the position and take the hit. Instead, Archegos doubled down, borrowing even more in the hope that the market would turn. It didn't. Within days, losses spiraled out of control. Banks that had lent billions on margin began liquidating positions, and Archegos imploded almost overnight. The collapse wiped out over $100 billion in shareholder value across multiple companies and triggered one of the fastest, most dramatic financial blow-ups in recent history. Lesson 6. There is only one side to the stock market, and it is not the bull side or the bear side, but the right side. Livermore's point was simple. Markets don't reward loyalty to a label. They reward being on the right side of the move. It's not about being a permanent bull or an eternal bear. It's about following the facts, even if they lead you somewhere uncomfortable. In 1987, Paul Tudor Jones embodied this principle. He wasn't known as a perma-bear. He was a trader who studied patterns, price action, and risk. In the months leading up to October, his analysis of market behavior and historical parallels convinced him that a crash was imminent. While most of Wall Street remained confident, Jones positioned himself aggressively for a downturn. On October 19, 1987, Black Monday, The Dow Jones collapsed by 22% in a single day, the largest one-day percentage drop in history. While many traders and funds were wiped out, Jones's fund reportedly returned more than 60% that year, thanks to his timely short positions. His success wasn't about being bearish by nature. It was about recognizing the right side of the trade and having the conviction to act on it. Livermore would have approved. The market doesn't care about your bias, only whether you're aligned with reality.
Lesson 7. It never was my thinking that made the big money. It always was my sitting tight. Livermore wasn't talking about holding stocks for decades. He meant that once you are on the right side of a major move, the hardest and most profitable thing you can do is sit still. In 1907, during the Great Panic, Livermore built massive short positions as the market cracked. Prices swung violently day after day. Many traders tried to scalp quick profits, jumping in and out. Livermore did the opposite. He sat tight. When the panic reached its peak and stocks collapsed, he walked away with millions, a fortune in his era. Decades later, Richard Dennis proved the same point with his turtle traders experiment. His students weren't financial wizards. They simply followed his rules and held on to winning trends. By sitting tight through months of volatility, they turned small stakes into millions. Livermore's wisdom was simple but brutal. Anyone can enter a trade, but only the disciplined can sit tight long enough to make the big money. Lesson 8. The market does not beat them. They beat themselves, because though they have brains, they cannot sit tight. Livermore understood that traders rarely go broke because of the market itself. More often, they destroy themselves through denial, ego, and lack of discipline. In 1995, Nick Leeson was a young star at Barings Bank, making bold trades in Asian markets. When his bets turned against him, he had a choice: cut the losses and admit the mistake, or double down. He chose the latter, hiding losses in secret accounts and taking even bigger risks. The market didn't conspire against him. It simply revealed his lack of discipline. By the time the truth came out, Barings Bank, a 233-year-old institution, had collapsed under $1.3 billion in hidden losses. Livermore's words ring true. Most traders are not defeated by Wall Street or global markets. They are defeated by their own inability to take a loss, to face reality, and to keep discipline intact.
Lesson 9. Markets are never wrong. Opinions often are. Lesson 10. Big money is made in the stock market by being on the right side of the major moves. Lesson 11. It is not good to be too curious about all the reasons behind price movements. Lesson 12. I never argue with the tape. The market is never wrong. Lesson 13. A man must believe in himself and his judgment. That is why I don't believe in tips. Lesson 14. Successful traders always follow the line of least resistance. Follow the trend. The trend is your friend. Lesson 15. Wall Street never changes because human nature never changes. Lesson 16. There is time to go long, time to go short, and time to go fishing. Lesson 17. It is what people actually did in the stock market that counted, not what they said they were going to do. Lesson 18. A prudent speculator never argues with the tape. Markets are never wrong. Lesson 19. A stock is never too high to buy and never too low to sell. Lesson 20.
Speculation is not a game that can be beaten consistently without discipline.